Will the sun really rise in the valley?
Get that stuff out of here! It's Southwest Bias!
Welcome into another edition of Southwest Bias, presented to you by our friends at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. And we are live from Studio K, brought to you by our friends at Circle K. Become a member of the Inner Circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. Last night, I spent time with my family. I know, breaking news, Espo wasn't at work. He spent time with his family. And we went, there we go, thank you. And we went to a National Geographic Live event where a photographer explained the migration patterns of the monarch butterfly. And you're going, Espo, shut up. Nobody wants to hear about science on this program. I get it. But there was an interesting fact that he talked about, that these butterflies migrate from Canada all the way to Mexico without ever having been there, because generations die off in the travel and they're never the same butterflies that go from Mexico to Canada and Canada back to Mexico. They have no idea where they're going. Apparently it's inherent. It's something that's just built into them, into their DNA, and it happens regardless of anything else. They just do it. Started to sound like the Arizona Cardinals to me. Does the coaching search matter? Or is this team just going to continue to be the same franchise they have been for 106 years? They're 596, 826, and 41 since they became a franchise. That is a perennial loser. 17 playoff appearances in 106 years. I think Haley's Comets come around more often. I think there's so many different things that have happened in 106 years multiple times. I mean, heck, just 17 times in 106 years is insanity. Oh, and they have a losing record there too, 7-10. How about this one for you? Only 15 coaches in 106 years have had a winning record coaching the Cardinals in whatever iteration they've been. The best coach, Bruce Arians, had 50 wins, and he seems like he's the anomaly. He was 50-32. Since 1971, they've only had 17 coaches, and only 2 have had winning records, Don Coryell and Arians. Only 6 combined playoff appearances since 1971. Oh, and they're perpetually at the bottom of the NFLPA report cards. You go, yeah, but they've been in multiple cities. Has it always been this bad? Yeah. Losing record in Chicago. Losing record when they split their time in Pittsburgh. Losing record in St. Louis. Losing record as the Phoenix Cardinals. Losing record as the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are losers. Factually. I'm not saying that emotionally. It's factual. Do we really think whatever coach that they're going to get here at the end is really going to change that? I'd like to believe it. I'd like to believe that the magic of Bruce Arians is available somewhere else. The one time you caught lightning in a bottle. The one time that it actually worked in a sustainable manner. I'm not sure I believe it, especially not with the guys that we're looking at on this list. I mean, do we really think Mike LaFleur is going to be able to do that? Do we really have faith that they're going to find the right franchise quarterback finally? Go look at the list of guys that they've drafted, guys they've tried to make their quarterback. The only 2 quarterbacks that have succeeded here are Kurt Warner, who had been thrown on the trash heap by the Giants that everybody thought was done, and Carson Palmer, who had been done the same with the Raiders. I'm starting to wonder if we're kidding ourselves with the idea that this franchise can turn it around. It's not like other franchises. It's the same ownership family for this entire time. People say, oh, well, things got better attendance-wise with the new stadium. Yeah, because it was something new and flashy. What are we, 20 years since then almost? That's going to wear off. Are we going to be back to where we were in the Sun Devil Stadium days, where there was 25,000 of us that were willing to go out there, and then we were lucky if there were any more, and if they were usually fans of other people in our division? Giants fans, Cowboys fans, Washington Redskins fans. Sure, the division's changed, but the same problem remains. I want to believe that Mike LaFleur can change that. I want to believe that he'll bring in a DC that can figure out how to fix it. I want to believe that, as Jacob says, can we just have our Indiana run in the NFL just once? That's all I ask. I want to believe that they can be a Cinderella team, that they can turn it around. You know why Indiana turned it around? An influx of money from Mark Cuban, a billionaire that was willing to spend on his alma mater, and a broken system that allowed him to. I want to believe that this can change. But when you look at the reality of it, I'm just not sure how they can when you operate in a similar manner year after year, decade after decade, for 100+ years. At some point, is it just inherently coded in you as a franchise? Is there something bigger than the small decisions that are leading to the larger results? I'm not saying there's a curse. I'm not saying anything like that. But at some point, the data has to lead you to believe that there's a reason for the conclusion that comes up. Maybe it's time to go full George Costanza. And whatever your impulse is as a franchise, do the exact opposite. If Mike LaFleur is your impulse, maybe it's do the exact opposite. I don't know what it is that you get out of this, but I really sit here and wonder, there's common threads, small common threads. And I've given Michael Bidwill credit because he's tried to do things different than his father. But at some point, is it inherent that these are learned patterns with this franchise? That there's just not a way to change said patterns? Because we haven't. And I don't know why, because you would think in business, usually it's fail fast, pivot, and figure out how to do it again. And when you sit there and you look at doing the same things over and over again, I know people say that's the definition of insanity. I think it's the definition of stupidity. If you keep losing, if you keep not doing what the business requires to win, that's on you. That's not on anything other than the people that need to look themselves in the face and go, why does this pattern keep happening? I think we've all been there at a workplace where you look at people and you go, why are we making the same decisions? Why are we doing the same thing again? And as Arizona Cardinals fans, I think I've hit that point. Why are we doing the same thing again? Why continually are we doing the same thing again? Break the pattern. Just because things have been inherent doesn't mean they have to be. Shaft says, when I worked for Hugh Culverhouse, the Buccaneers owner in the late 70s and early 80s, it was similar to Bidwill. I realized that they would never win until he sold the franchise. I don't think we're going to get there. I don't think this is going to be something where the ghosts of NFL past, present, and future visit Michael Bidwill and he has a change of heart where he goes, you know what, I got to sell. So how does he break the generational pattern of losing? I'm not going to say, hey, we need a seance. We need to go sage the office. None of that stuff. This needs to look internal and go, what do we need to change? How do we operate better? How do we operate in a way that actually makes it successful? Ask that question. Do the work. Look at every little nook and cranny of your organization and ask, why do the top head coaches not want to come here? Why do the top players not want to come here? Why do we fail at drafting quarterbacks? Why do we fail at winning? Why is our stadium full of the opposing fans? And then find the solutions to it. I do not want to be a perennial loser. I do not want to watch this team fall into the same patterns it's fallen into for 106 years. Whether you're in Chicago, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, whether you're calling yourself Phoenix or Arizona, it has not mattered. Change the pattern, find a quarterback, and find a good head coach. Look at that. That's the entire equation. That's and spend money. Don't have your facility be the worst in the NFL. Don't do things that get you graded poorly. Get out of your own way. John Mayer has a song where he asks, will it wash out in the water or is it always in the blood? And that's the question we need to be asking about the Arizona Cardinals. Will any of this stink of the last 106 years wash out in the water? Is there a way to fix it? Or is this just in the blood of the franchise? Or maybe those running it? But maybe that's just my Southwest bias. We welcome in the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach. Shane, how are you?
I'm good.
I mean,
Hello.
I know that was an uplifting soliloquy to start the program.
Sad.
Look at the facts. I just started questioning that when we got dead silence again on more of the head coaching search. Yep. I just went, why do we believe any of this is going to change it?
Yeah, it is crazy to see how long this has been going on. There is legitimately no reason to believe, and that sucks as a fan. So I just don't know where people are going to draw hope from. I guess a good place to start is drawing hope from somebody's speech that they did on Hard Knocks, because that's what fans are doing. It's going to take a hell of a lot more than a speech to fix that.
Let me put this in perspective. The country was 144 years old, just 144 years old when the Cardinals became a franchise. It's going to turn 250 in July, and they've been to the playoffs 17 times since then. Excuse me. Yeah, they've had 17 playoff games, not even going to the playoffs, 17 playoff games. That's even worse. 17 playoff
epic.
Games. I mean, come on. We've had so many. We've had so many more crises.
I've had 17 cheeseburgers this year.
I mean, I've had 17 relationships fail in less than 106 years. I mean,
That's
come
a problem.
On, huh?
That's a problem.
I mean, hopefully it's not going to be 18 anytime soon.
Maybe we should talk about that.
Maybe we should. Maybe we need
more real life issues.
Maybe a therapist.
Football game.
Like a therapist?
No.
Chef wants to know, what's the other option? To give up, stop watching football, switch to another knee?
Yeah.
We'll become a winner. I just hope that's in my lifetime. I mean, those are the logical options. I'm not saying we should take any of them. I'm just simply looking at it and wondering about it. I mean, I can be a fan without trying to, sell myself on it's going to change. I think that's part of why some of us have become so miserable, is because we've believed so hard that it can change. Antonio says Mike B needs to admit that he doesn't know football, and it's okay. Hire a president to run his club. I agree. Big welcome to all the bias in the chat. Ronald, Schaff, Antonio, my wife Tracy, Jacob, Deborah, everybody in there. Hit that like button for me. I want to see those likes hit through the roof, all right? Smack that thing like it's a Dallas Cowboys fan insulting you right now. Smack that thing like it's a Rams or Seahawks fan trying to make you feel bad about being a Cardinals fan, all right? Jacob, we have too much opium. Hey, sometimes I'm snorting that opium right off the desk. I want to believe, all right? Shane, something else interesting today before we get to our friend Bo Brock, and we'll talk more Cardinals coaching search. Today, 1968, not 106 years ago, but we're getting close to 60. 1968, the Phoenix Suns became a franchise. The NBA awarded the team to the Suns and to the city of Phoenix. You see a picture on the screen. If you're listening on audio, 4 individuals, one of which is Jerry Colangelo, one is Johnny Red Kerr, I believe the first head coach, and I believe the others are part of the original ownership group, holding up a sign that says Phoenix Suns with a basketball and a sunburst behind. Only time you ever see this logo. This is never a logo that they use. I actually love this logo and wish they'd throw it in as a retro logo. My favorite thing about this photo, though, Shane, nobody in the photo is looking the same direction. It's like they had no clue the photo was being taken.
That is impressive.
And it's one of the most historic photos in the franchise. But I want to ask you, Shane, who is your favorite Sun of all time?
Real or fake?
There's a fake
No,
Suns
like real
player?
answer or fake answer?
Let's go real answer.
Quentin Richardson.
Why Q?
Because he had a swaggy headband and he could shoot threes. And he was really good in NBA Live 2004.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. There's so many for me. It got skewed when I got to know some of the guys. Goran Dragic will always be high on the list. Marcin Gortat because of that. Obviously, Charles Barkley, who kind of introduced me to basketball as a whole. But those are probably my favorites. Nobody surprising there. I mean, Jock Landale, but that's just because of the rivalry we have. Archie Goodwin, another good guy.
Lou Amundsen,
Lou's ponytail. I gotta love that as well. Plenty of great guys. Drop who you have as your favorite your favorite Sun of all time in the chat. On the other side of halftime, we bring in my favorite PHNX Cardinals host, unless Johnny's here. It's Bo Brock right after this. No, that's not the freeway, the 101 on a Saturday night. No, that is Phoenix Raceway, the best venue in all of sports here in Arizona. It is the most beautiful venue you can go to. You can even buy tickets on a hillside. Where else can you do that in sports? And this year, March 5th through the 8th, you're going to get the NASCAR NTT IndyCar Series weekend. It's the first time these two have raced on the same weekend. Now, no, they're not going to be on the track at the same time going different directions. It's not that crazy, but you're going to get the best entertainment in all of racing, plus the best access in all of motorsports is you get to go inside the garage, walk the tracks, meet the drivers, and catch a pre-race concert. No sport brings you closer as fans when you upgrade to the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience. Plus, did you know you can even camp there as well? It's so great. Plus, you're going to see the 2025 Cup Series champion Kyle Larson return to where he won. So secure your seats now at the link in our description. And Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Look, Vegas, we all have been there. We've all taken the flight. It takes an hour, but you got to deal with the airport, or you can drive 5 hours. Why bother with it, right? Because now through April, you can go out to Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and they're going to bring Vegas to you. The Vegas vibes are in Phoenix, baby. And you know what? You're going to get that energy, attitude, and excitement of Vegas straight to you. Exclusive concerts, extended DJ sets, showgirls, dining, pop-up bars, surprise cameos. Who in the world from Vegas is coming? We don't know. That's why it's a surprise. Plus, don't forget the fabulous Corvette giveaway and special perks for their loyalty members. You're going to love it out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. So they bring Vegas. Only at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for the full calendar of events. A big thank you to Wayne Newton for playing halftime today. Didn't know he was still alive, but we brought Vegas to you here at halftime. We welcome in Bo Brock, host of PHNX Cardinals and the man with the most knowledge on the show. How are you, Bo?
I'm doing great. No Red Panda today? That's the GOAT halftime performer, in my opinion.
We've been going a lot of musical guests, but maybe I'll book Red Panda for the next halftime. That is a great call. So we are day 687 of the Cardinals coaching search. Last name we've heard, who's supposedly interviewing today, Jaguars defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli. How are we feeling? Have we heard anything? And what is your take on Campanelli here?
I mean, Coach Camp adds a certain level of optimism, not an extreme level of optimism, but it adds a new name, just like Joe Brady was a couple days ago, that eases maybe the pain or the fear Vance Joseph could be the guy once the dust all settles in the next couple of weeks. So you keep adding to this. You see some guys that they wanted to talk to for a second interview, just like Coach Camp, who came out of nowhere. It's like the Cardinals are starting to kind of finalize their interviews in their finalists. And you'd like to see, okay, options outside of VJ, because the fan base has made it known it's anybody but Vance, and they could get on board with a potential fresh direction. But like Campanelli, I mean, you give me the Hard Knocks video, you give me the production from his Jaguars defense and his stops along the way, like Green Bay, where he's just been able to neutralize the opposition's run game and take the football away. It's the fiery speeches, an intriguing candidate with, a pretty impressive on the rise resume.
I think that there's a certain fascination with him based on some of the clips that have come out, his locker room stuff, some of those speeches.
Yeah.
Do you think that's enough to intrigue this fan base? I feel like we've dropped that bar to, like you said, anybody but Vance. But is that enough to make you believe in this guy and get the fan base fired up? I feel like it's starting to, but maybe out of desperation.
Well, there is a certain amount of desperation. There is a certain amount of grading on a curve when you get into what's the realistic viewpoint of this job in NFL circles. I mean, are they going to be going after the top tier coaches available? We've already seen that it starts and it ends with a phone call for a guy like John Harbaugh. It becomes you're a bridesmaid, not a bride, with a guy like Robert Saleh, who's probably on the next tier that still isn't without his red flags. It's just the Arizona Cardinals, as far as how they failed here in this previous season without being able to continue, the goodwill that they had created the first 2 years under Monty and Jonathan Gannon, is the reality that the franchise isn't that far removed from it being just a complete debacle disaster class in 2023. They've got to continue to, chip away at that, but that's not going to change overnight. And the Cardinals still firmly remain in, they're going to have to hit on somebody that is a little bit under the radar, like as far as proven commodities. And we'll see what happens with Sean McDermott. I think, his options aren't going to materialize like his initial camp wanted, where he's going to be in vying for the top jobs remaining. But still, is that realistic? Probably not. You're going to have to go with, who's some of the better kind of under the radar coordinators that are, can come in and kind of surprise people. And I know that that's a very low percentage play, but that remains to be the sandbox that the Cardinals play in as far as head coaching options.
All right. So let's assume McDermott, slight, small chance. Mike LaFleur still on the list. Campanelli. Z-Man wants to know, I opened that cabinet door. How many juice boxes am I pulling out for each? What is the juice meter saying about these three candidates in your mind?
As far as Mike LaFleur, I've got him and Coach Camp both at a high-end 2.5 juice boxes. That I think they bring the juice from the standpoint of, they don't have, that head coaching experience that everybody wanted. Everybody wanted a guy that had a certain amount of experience. They were done with the first-year head coaches. We've gone through it already too much. The last three have been, failures, Gannon and Kingsbury and Wilkes. But, as far as how this has played out, those options, they dried up, and they didn't really give the Cardinals a fair shot at it. So I'm going to give, Coach Camp and LaFleur. LaFleur's gotten the master's, graduate program learning under McVay. He does way more than just, adding to the game planning. We've got an interview up with Ari Meirov right now where he explains the allure of Mike LaFleur. And then you've got Coach Camp, who's, he's like his head coach there in Jacksonville, where he's a guy that's been quickly on the rise, has been promoted the last 3 years in a row. And, it seems like he's destined to be a head coach at some point. We've got teams like the Ravens sniffing around him, asking for interviews. So he's certainly, I think, a bona fide candidate. And those guys get 2.5 for me. The third, who was the third again? Was it McDermott?
McDermott. The likely not going to be on the list, but how many juice boxes are we giving anyways?
He's right there with Harbaugh. I mean, he's got 5. He would be a no doubt about it, win for the Cardinals, bring instant credibility and change the narrative, push back on the narrative that they wouldn't pay for it. and that the better options wouldn't even sniff this team. I mean, that's what McDermott brings. I think there could be the people who are skeptical, whether or not he can do this without Josh Allen, which he had for what 8 of the 9 seasons he was in Buffalo, and where he made the playoffs. 7 of those with Allen, but the first year he made the playoffs without Josh Allen. He did with Tyrod Taylor, a quintessential backup in this league, and that's what the Cardinals could be staring down. Is he willing to take on the undertaking of another rebuild with another organization that is, at that point kind of irrelevant in the NFL landscape? That's really what I think McDermott has to kind of battle with. Does he want that? Is he willing to do that? Or is he willing to roll the dice and, do whatever he wants for the next season and then get back into the coaching pool next offseason?
I need to know, are there like different flavors of juice, or is this just like is Campanelli like a mature juice, like a box of Merlot, like those boxed wines? Like, are there different kinds of juice we're talking?
He's a Chianti, right? With the Italian flavor. It's a nice dinner wine for whatever Italian dish that you're enjoying. But like, I think that like Harbaugh was the ecto cooler. I mean, it was the ultimate. It was the GOAT. As far as this coaching search goes, well, I think McDermott is still a 5 juicer, but he's probably somewhere around like just a light pulp orange juice.
Are we concerned the longer this goes on, the tougher it's going to be for one of these guys to build a staff that can actually make a difference too? We saw this with Jonathan Gannon, that the staff wound up as a concerning part of it. Is that becoming an issue?
I mean, as the coaching search gets deeper, yes, that's always a concern because you see the recent hires, they're tied to the bigger names, and they're going to have the leg up on that. The one thing that a guy like Campanelli brings, and I think LaFleur would bring, LaFleur's been in the league for 11 years with ties to Shanahan, with ties to McVay, different stops around the league. Obviously, his brother Matt in Green Bay. He constructed his entire defensive staff in Jacksonville kind of late in that process with Cohen and then also LaFleur, obviously with all his connections. I think it would give you some confidence that they could do it at any point, but you would have to do it with, okay, you're just going to have to trust that the guys they're hiring, they're not going to be the big flashy names like the Dables out there and McDaniel's already off the market. Like, those are dwindling, and those will probably be gone by the time the Cardinals make the hire. So you're just going to have to trust that these guys, they're deep-seated connections. They're going to bring kind of like themselves the under-the-radar plays.
I need your help. All right. At the beginning of the show, I looked at the 106-year history of this franchise and went through it. And I want to know why I should believe that this is not just fundamentally who this franchise is and that things can get better. And don't say Bruce Arians, because you know what? In a 106-year history, I can find a lot of blind squirrels that find a single nut. I need to know why I should believe that there's something that this franchise can do to get it right.
I mean, it stretches beyond that, like just the other organizations that, leadership, ownership were a detractor. Teams won despite that ownership, like the Clippers, teams that can be good, can make their way to the playoffs, and then like, do you reach a ceiling at some point? Sure. But we'd even like to just taste what that is. I think that it's rolling the dice like this and having to approach every coaching search like this. It's such low percentage that you're going to find the under the radar guy that is you're going to catch lightning in a bottle, but it does exist in the history and the landscape of sports. I mean, we just saw it, like the most losing college football program just hoisted the title trophy on Monday night. Curt Cignetti, who, his went from a coordinator for Saban to James Madison to where every step along the way, you saw there was proof of the performance and success, even though it wasn't, at the highest level. That's what you're going to have to find as far as the Cardinals. And like, it's very low, but that's why we keep hanging on, because, like if you can find the right guy, you can couple it with the right players on the roster. And the Cardinals aren't a bare cupboard as far as, their roster goes. They need to make some crucial tweaks, especially at the quarterback spot. But, that's why people, keep hanging on with the idea like, hey, you just get the right guy and it's not always the biggest name. Can they be the ones that breathe life into that organization, that program?
He is Bo Brock. You can follow him at Bo Brock on social. You can watch him today, 4:30, PHNX Cardinals. They'll have everything, and I'm sure Johnny will probably blow a gasket like I did on the program. Bo, always a pleasure.
Likewise, man.
Want to read Shaft's comment before we get out of here. One of the bias in the chat that I always appreciate. He says 105-year history, 44 head coaches. That's a new head coach every 2.38 years. We need a young head coach that can last 10 plus seasons. I agree. Can you find the right one? That's our biggest question right now. Hit that like button on the way out if you have not already become a Supporters Club member. Hit that join button. $5 a month, going to get you a super chat. Going to get you that cool badge. Going to get you emojis that are exclusive to you for in the chat, plus exclusive content from all our hosts here at PHNX. So become a member today. A big thank you to the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach. A short week for him as he won't be here tomorrow.
Let's also implore the chat to subscribe because we are approaching 50,000 subscribers.
That is true. We want to get to 50,000 subscribers before Super Bowl. So let's make it happen. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some surprises if we get there. You'll find out when we find out. So you can follow Shane at Shane Dief. You can follow the program at PHNX_sports. You can follow me at Espo. And yeah, will it wash out in the water or is it always in the blood? I'm starting to think it's in the blood. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.